So we're driving there, and I say to him, Jared, when I introduce you, I'm going to just introduce you as Jared. I'm not going to like own you or say this is one of mine. I'm like, you're doing a great job. Like, you deserve to, have it without being my son. And we have different last names anyway, so not everyone would know that if I introduced him. And so we get to court, and first of all, I start introducing him as Jared and talking about like what a great student he is and all of this. And then finally I'm like, okay, he's mine. It was like, I couldn't contain it, And then sometimes we walked into court and people were like, that's your son, right? And I was like, how'd you know? And they were like, Facebook pictures, or, he looks just like you. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, I thought we were going to like hide it. And then at the end of the day, I was like, sorry, I really did want you to have like an experience as my intern, as my law clerk for the summer, and not as, I'm your mom. But I see that did not happen.
Wouldn't you love a backstage pass to candid discussions at the crossroads of motherhood, justice, community, entrepreneurship, mentoring, and success? Host Melissa Rosenblum is one of only a few women certified by the Supreme Court of New Jersey as a criminal trial attorney. When you add kids, a booming law business, and a little black book full of subject matter experts, you've got the Mighty MERP podcast, and part 2 in this series.
And then the Teesside University in England, was that like a fellowship or?
Yeah, so that was a scholarship that the New Jersey, all of the New Jersey state schools were part of a consortium of international studies, and you could apply for a scholarship and they would place you in a foreign country in some university. And I ended up going to England and spending the year in England.
And where's Teesside University?
Teesside is on the north eastern coast of the country, just below the Scottish border.
Okay. I spent a semester in England, so I ask it like I really know England, and I don't. I spent a semester in London and did a lot of traveling 100 years ago. So when you finished, then you went to Howard University.
I did.
So tell me about Howard University School of Law, because I find that to be a very interesting.
Yeah, and that was a very specific goal too. I knew that, first of all, in terms of my own momentum, I wanted to go straight through. I didn't want to take time off between college and law school. But I knew that it was going to be tough to sit in the classroom for another 3 years, having, not taking a break between high school and college. And I also knew that I wanted to be a criminal trial attorney, and I wanted to learn to be a trial lawyer, which I'm sure you probably agree. Law school doesn't teach you how to be a lawyer. It teaches you a process, but it doesn't really teach you how to get on your feet and be any kind of a lawyer, but especially a trial lawyer.
Right. What I tell people about law school, and I'm going to say I loved law school. I had a very positive law school experience, but it really just trains you to think, right, to look at situations in a unique way that you've never broken the law down that way. And then how to sort of make written arguments to support what the law is. But you're right, there's not a lot of experience in law school unless you search it out. I think, I don't know if this was the case. There were clinics when I was there and trial competitions. And
where did you go?
I went to, now it's Delaware Law School, Widener University, but when I went it was Widener. But I knew I wanted to do criminal law also. And so I did the clinics that would have me in the courtroom, and I did the trial competitions that would have me learning
exactly
to be a trial attorney.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's why I picked Howard. Howard had its own criminal justice clinic, which was its own like mini law firm, and it was right down in the heart of where all the action was on Kate Street. And we had a staff attorney that was our supervisor. We were admitted by the Superior Court of D.C. to try misdemeanor cases, which included, back then, drunk driving cases were jury trials in Washington, D.C. So I get to actually try cases my third year. And when you're in your second year, you act as a student investigator for the clinic. So I got hands-on experience. And so that was one of the reasons why I went to Howard. Another one was I wanted to be in Washington, D.C. because there were so many opportunities to not only for clerkships, but to just go and see things, see the Supreme Court. And, and there were so many agencies that hired lawyers that you could get hands-on experience. And the third thing was they gave me scholarship money.
Let me tell you, as someone who will have 4 kids in college in the net for 6 years, that is a key scholarship.
Exactly.
Scholarship.
Exactly.
I whisper that in my children's ears. Scholarship. Yeah. So I know you started your legal career at the prosecutor's office, but before we get there, I do want to ask you, because you now have this, you're retired and you have this career in acting. And I know you were acting all through your legal career.
Right.
So
I had 2 careers.
was it simultaneous? When you were going to law school and college and law school, did you have the acting bug during that time? And how did you balance the acting bug and the I want to be a lawyer bug? Okay.
So the acting bug started sorry. It was my girlfriend, Spam. I don't know if you've met her, but she calls me all the time.
Does she? She really likes you. Spam really likes you.
I joke with my wife, if I were ever going to cheat on her, which I never would, I would just name my girlfriend Spam.
Spam. You have a plan. Well, that's the first step, possibly.
But back to your question, the acting bug started when I was a child. My parents took me to a recital at a local theater teacher that had a school, and I became enamored with seeing what was on stage, and I thought that's something I'd really like to do. So I started doing plays when I was in elementary school, all through junior high, all through high school, did all the musicals. Even in college, when I got to college in New Jersey, I was a criminal justice major, but I was a musical theater minor. And I did all the shows in college. And the only time I ever stopped acting was when I was in law school, because law school, you have no time to do anything.
I agree, and we're going to talk about that. But I have to ask this question, which is, what did your parents or your father, blue-collar father, working, right, think about the acting bug versus the legal bug?
So my father only ever gave my brother and I one bit of advice in terms of what we should do with our life. And that was, find something that you love to do. Because if you like your job or you love your job, you will love your life. If you hate your job, you will hate your life. And it doesn't matter how much money you make or how much prestige you have or any other factor other than find something that you're passionate about, that you can wake up every morning and go, I want to go to work today.
Yeah, I agree.
And that was true for both of my vocations. I did get to the crossroads, though, where I was acting professionally. I was getting paid to be a theater actor, and I was performing all over South Jersey. I was performing at regional theaters and dinner theaters and colleges and universities, and a lot of people tried to encourage me, like, look, you can do this for a living. And I got to that crossroad where I was afraid that I would not be able to create for myself financially the lifestyle that I knew I wanted to live. Mm-hmm. I knew I wanted to get married. I knew I wanted a house. I wanted a car. I wanted to go on vacations. I wanted to wear nice clothes and go out to nice restaurants. And not that you can't do that as an actor, but it's much, much harder. And to be a working actor, especially if you're a theatrical actor, same goes with TV and movies as well, but you have to be prepared to travel a lot. Mm-hmm. Theater companies, you'll work 5-6 weeks at a time at one theater or another, and then you move on to the nuts. And it's hard to lay down roots, and it's hard to maintain a normal, family lifestyle.
More traditional. So when you made the decision, were you young at the time, like before you were married, or?
Well, I guess I made the decision when I decided to go to law school, mm-hmm. that was going to be the job that made me money, but I was never going to stop acting. So the first thing I did when I graduated from law school was to get back into theater. Mm-hmm. And then I was very fortunate. So this story is going to lead into how I met my wife story, which is a pretty good story.
I was going to say, I think I know parts of the story, but it's a great story. So tell the world
It is a good story, and I must say I don't get tired of telling it because it changed my life.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned. There is more to come. Mighty Merp is available on iTunes, Spotify, and all your favorite apps and players. But the best way to experience the show is to visit mightymerp.com. That's mightymerp.com. This podcast is not a source of legal advice. No two legal cases are the same. Contact an attorney if you require legal assistance.